Dima, but everybody else is good. All right, thanks. Oh, Commissioner Chinya, did you start?
No, I was waiting for you to say it was okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Then, good afternoon. Are you in favor?
Yes. Brooks. Yep.
James Hassan,
Yes.
McFadden,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Has Commissioner Richardson joined us yet?
Technology-wise,
Okay. Are there any opposed? Hear none and no absent. So there are 7 in favor and 2 absent is what I'm counting.
could people please check their microphones and mute them?
Yes, please mute your phones. Is there a motion to approve item 2.01, the COVID-19 remote meetings resolution?
James Hassan, move approval.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Commissioner Roberts, second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion before I ask for a vote?
Commissioner Chinya.
Yes.
It's Ronald
please.
McFadden.
Yes.
It's Ronald McFadden.
Yes.
Just with this resolution for the board, will there be something similar done for staff in regards to their meetings? How does it work with essential staff members in this event, in the event of this particular crisis?
You're talking in terms of meetings?
Commissioner Chinya.
Yes. This Dr. Santalisas?
Yes, I was just going to
Okay.
ask if you'd like me to respond, or
yes,
I didn't
please.
know. So, Commissioner
Dr. S,
McFadden,
can I jump in quickly and just say that to our colleagues, even if you're not talking, if your phone's not muted, we can still hear you're driving and the air. So please, please, please mute your phones if you're not speaking. Sorry, Dr. S. I was going to get a migraine. Thank you.
Not a problem, Commissioner. So with regards to meetings for Central, we have set policies with regards to our own meetings. We are using a variety of different with different divisions, but yes, we are also have already, frankly, taken a lot of our meetings into the new space, given the emergency situation we find ourselves in. Question, Commissioner McFadden?
And I'm assuming that doesn't need to be in some sort of resolution because it wouldn't technically be violating any meeting law act or anything like that.
No.
Thank you.
That's right. Sure.
Okay. All righty. Thank you. There are no other questions or comments. All those in favor, and again, I'm going to do the roll call. Again, this is the motion to approve the remote meetings resolution. Commissioner Bondima? I need you to unmute and give me either let me know if you're in favor. Commissioner Bondima?
Permission.
Commissioner Brooks?
Excuse me.
This is Christian. Commissioner Bondima was muted, so I just unmuted.
Oh. Okay.
No. Let me say something. When something strange, when I mute, it's a delay in when I hit the mute for you to hear me.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I agree. I mean,
Okay, no problem. We
I'm
understand.
sorry.
Thank you. Commissioner Brooks?
Yes, I agree.
Thank you. Commissioner James Hassan?
Yes, I agree.
Thank you. Commissioner McFadden?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Okay, and I also agree. Chinya? That's 7. Any opposed? And no abstentions, so that's 7 in favor and 2 absent, and so this motion carries. Our second item is there a motion to approve 2.02, which is school year 2019-2020 calendar modification? Is there a motion?
So moved.
I need to know who it is.
Vernon Reed.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second this Bondima.
Bondima, thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask Dr. Santalisas to explain a little bit more about the calendar modification and actually what that might mean before we vote. Dr. Santalisas? Okay, is Dr. Santalisas there?
Commissioner Chinya, she was listed as muted. I just unmuted her from my end.
Okay.
Dr. Santalisas?
Okay.
This is Bondima. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. She might have a delay, like I have a delay when you
Right.
when I'm unmute.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jessica Wilson. I'm the Director of Academic Operations. I can certainly walk through some of the specifics while we're waiting for whatever technical glitch is going on to work itself out.
Okay. Go ahead, Jessica. Thank you.
Okay, so as many of you know, Dr. Karen Salmon announced a temporary closure of schools effective March 16th through Friday, February 27th. As part of this announcement, she suggested that one of the recommendations for folks to look at to make up these days was to consider adjusting their spring break in order to increase the number of instructional days that could be recovered. Aligning ourselves with that recommendation, we are putting forth a proposal that would make our spring break adjust from April 6th through April 13th to starting on March 20th through Friday, March 27th. This would allow us to recover 6 instructional days and does assume that we would have the flexibility from the state to get a waiver for Good Friday as well as Easter Monday, which are currently COMAR required days off, but given the state recommendation for utilizing these days for recovery, we are confident that we could receive a waiver for those days.
This is Commissioner Brooks. Board Chair, do we have the capacity to ask questions?
Yes, I wanted to add one thing to that, if they would, in terms of those days. Those days that are listed are student days. The calendar is always different in terms of central office staff. So I didn't know if they wanted to add a little more, and then
Yeah.
I'll see if you need more clarification.
This is Allison Perkins Cohen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm texting with Dr. Santelises. She has been talking, and so we're not hearing her. So if Christian, if you can unmute her mic centrally, then maybe that will help. So anyway, for whatever reason, she's having a technical problem. So try unmuting it from your end, Christian, and then she'll try talking. But while we're working on that technical fix, I will say the couple things that I think it's important to keep in mind. So we also, there's a lot of critical services that we're making sure that students have access to during this period of time. So this week we've worked really hard to make sure that we prop up meal sites to ensure that students and families have access to meals, and have been doing that at 18 sites today. We have 18 sites. We've increased the number, so today we're at 18. And serving a significant number of meals. I haven't gotten the meal count for today, but I believe yesterday it was about 4,600 meals that we served. In addition, we're working on getting educational packets out to families to make sure that students have access to learning. So those have been available. Principals have been at schools for families to pick up those packets that will give them work to do for the next week, and even going into the following week if the period of time is to be continued. And we also have had schools open so that families who needed to, we worked with the health department so that families who maybe had their extra supply of medication could pick up medication at school sites. And so between principals and then volunteers from the central office and custodians who have been doing deep cleaning at schools, there has been a lot of people at schools to make sure that meals were served and that students had access to instructional materials, medication, and that schools were cleaned. Next week, we have been working with the emergency feeding plan for the city is a citywide plan that's been developed with partnerships, including the city and city schools and Maryland Food Bank and others over a number of years. And it is, and so we're continuing to work with them. We talk to them daily. And the Family League next week is going to provide continuity of the meals that we've been providing at the 18 sites by having mobile units at each of those sites to provide meal service during the times we had been providing them this week. So those meals will continue next week, even during the time when principals are not at their schools and when and the central office is closed. And then, of course, there's a lot of ongoing work. We've worked really hard. The communications team has worked really hard to make sure there's regular communications going out to families to give them updates of what's going on. And that kind of thing, those kind of communications, we will keep providing updates as they're needed throughout next week.
Great. Thank you, Allison. Can folks hear me now?
Yes, we
Hello?
can now. Yes, we can now.
Okay. Thank you. And thanks to Jess and Allison. I think the other piece that I would just add, I think, the description that Allison gave us, and we have been working the last few weeks to make sure that there's a continuity of feeding and support for families while spring break is occurring. The other piece I think that is important for the board and the public to keep in mind is that and I fully appreciate that folks in different parts of the system may not understand what spring break looks like for staff, but very rarely has there ever been a spring break, quite frankly, where there's no one working at all. And so we will continue to be planning. Staff has been working around the clock the last 2 weeks, including this one. And so part of the reason why the planning is in place for the additional food sites has been the partnerships that we've been working through. It also gives us time and continues to give us time to get ready for what many are describing as the second phase of the state's approach, the city's approach to frankly combating the COVID-19. And so what that means is that we will continue to have folks who are working on pieces of these throughout the week. For many central office employees, really it amounts to about 3 days off, not the entire week. So I think that as we talk about what it means to be closed during spring break in the middle of this crisis, I think it's helpful for people to keep in mind the partnerships we put in place specifically for this, as well as work that will continue as it frankly always does in every spring break, and if not more, accelerated this break for many in the central office. So again, I understand that other people throughout the district have different vantage points given the different roles, but I think it's important for the public to understand that there is certainly work that continues occurring even though it is spring break.
Thank you, Dr. Santelises. Are there any other questions, board members?
Yes.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, go ahead, Commissioner Brooks.
So this is Allison. I can jump in again until we deal with the technical issue again on Dr. Santelises' line. So in terms of the following week, we really, of course, this is the statewide issue. This is not a city schools issue, and so we are, of course, taking the lead from the governor and the state superintendent about what the timeline looks like. There has not been a change right now announced in the timeline in terms of what happens after this week. We, of course, are planning for what needs to happen after this week, after next week, if this were to continue. But right now, the only indication we have is that that this is just through next week. But we're continuing to, the academic team is working on what it looks like to access learning for students for a longer term closure, and we'll be communicating with folks about what that looks like as in the next week or so, if there is a change in the schedule. And then, of course, we're also working with our partners in the city to think about what it looks like to ensure more stability of food access for students and families going forward. This is a prolonged closure, since so many families are dependent and students are dependent on schools for their source of food. So I guess more to come on that as we know from the state what the plans are.
Great. Thank you, Allison. Can you guys hear me now? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Great. I'm just going to stay unmuted. I'm trying to follow the protocol, but it seems to mess things up. If it becomes a problem, let me know. Again, I think Allison covered a great deal. I will tell you, in further response to your question, Commissioner Brooks, we have daily briefings with the state superintendent, Dr. Salmon. One of the things that I can, just relay pretty confidently what I'm sure just about everybody can surmise at this point, that we will clearly be going past the original March 30 date. Like, that's what every indication.
Ready to vote on this motion?
Commissioner Roberts, did you have a question?
My questions are answered. Thank you, Commissioner Brooks.
All right. Okay, hearing no one, I will do the roll call again. And again, we're voting on the motion to approve the calendar modification for school year 2019-2020. Okay. Commissioner Bondima? I know she has a lag. I'll go to Commissioner Brooks and see if he can come back.
Yes, I approve.
Thank you. Commissioner James Hassan?
I approve.
Commissioner McFadden?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Bondima, are you with us now?
This is Christian. Let me make sure she's not muted.
Okay.
This is Bundima. I, for some reason, got cut off.
Okay. Are you? We're voting on the motion to adjust the
Yes.
calendar. Thank you. And
Yes.
Chinya, yes. So any opposed? No abstention. So we have 7 in favor, 2 absent, and this motion passes. I know this was a very interesting and in some ways frustrating for our first attempt at this, but I want to thank you all for
Commissioner
your
Kenya,
presentations. Yes.
can I just add, I believe I sent an email from NSBA just to the group to circulate about a petition to petition the federal government to extend E-rate coverage so that all of our families would have access to internet without charge. So if people could just take a look at that in their emails and think about whether we want to do a board resolution to support or individuals are interested in signing or we don't want to take any action. Just if people want to take a look at that.
Okay. So information for board members, please.
And Commissioner Chinya,
Yes.
Vernon Reed, can I ask one
Uh-huh.
question to the CEO before we adjourn? I just want to make sure I ask the question.
Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, it could be any time as long as it's before we adjourn.
This will be the time. This will be the time. We don't have other business. So
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Dr. S., in terms of communication with the students, hopefully it's transactional because I think about students in terms of studies, food, and also their stresses. Is there some way we get feedback and communication from the students about their situation and how we can help or what the glitches are?
No, I think that's a great question. We had been, up until now, we've been thinking about it with regards to this, the guidance to teachers about touch points with students. We know already, just informally from some of our real superstar teachers, that just FaceTiming, just calling, we have one of our former teachers of the year, Mrs. Hall, who's touching base with her young people on Instagram. And as much as it's about academic, for them, it really is about community. But I think the question you're raising, at least in my mind, takes it to another level. And that is, how do we have a space and create a space for young people to do that? And that's one of those areas that I think we really can benefit from partnering with some of our community organizations and thinking about, given the widespread use of technology, particularly among our adolescents, how we do that. So I know we've been thinking about it, but I think your question really is a good prompt to make sure we're able to roll it out more clearly, particularly as we iron out some of the detailed guidance for teacher contact. That I think that really needs to accompany that as well. So, whether it's Google Chat groups or, other places, I would say, we've heard from young people that a lot of that the contact with one another through their teachers has been, as emotionally sustaining as it is academically sustaining. So it's a great point.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Go ahead,
I'm sorry,
Commissioner
Commissioner
Roberts.
Roberts. I learned so much on this call, on this 42-minute call. Is there any way possible we could have gotten any of this information before today's call? In full transparency, I was fully prepared to vote no today because I didn't know a lot of the details shared during this call. Is there possible for any way for us to get any information as shared today on the call before, we actually vote?
Yes, and what we should do, Commissioner Roberts, and I am definitely open to suggestions. What we have tried to do, just because of the rapid pace of the developments, which I know you all understand, I've been trying to check in with Commissioner Chinya, to loop her but it's been we're now again entering phase 2, and I think I know that we would be very open to suggestions of ways that we can, keep you updated. I will say this, that yes, even though staff is running around and doing a lot, if there are questions that pop up along the way that would help us, get a sense of some of the questions that the board might have, but then also inform a more regular, whether it's written update or update for the chair to be able to update the rest of the board. We can do that, and there are probably also implications moving forward. Part of what our focus has been, has been how do we get out the information that families most want to know. But your point is well taken, and definitely open to working with the board chair and the full board and the board vice chair to come up with ways within this kind of brave new world that we're in to facilitate that information so that you do have the opportunity to get more of the detail beyond just what we're posting on websites and other things for families.
Thank you, Dr. Santelises. Because being a parent myself in the school district, I've received information from my son's school that essentially we were moving forward with the school district moving in a spring break operational style, or we were moving forward with the spring break decision. And it was alarming to me because the first place that I went to was thinking about, okay, if we have had motivation from families and community members to come out to meal sites, there were so many thoughts about the supports that we were offering this week and how that would be continued through next week. And it was a missing piece to the puzzle in a state of crises. Yeah. And so we learned about that on today's call. And I think it would be really helpful, speaking for myself, and I'm not sure about any other commissioners, but to have that information before we have to vote.
Sure. No, absolutely. And again, to your point, we definitely had it in mind. It was never ever my intent to say, great, we're out for a week and I'm sure everything will go well. Staff has been working tirelessly to make sure that we have communication and the systems in place so that, our people can get a break. Because, the other piece is, I also have, I've been out to sites personally every day. I think today was the one exception. And, I've got principals who were there till, way past into the night making photocopies. I have cafeteria workers who are not only not going to get a break, but who, have gone above and beyond just in terms of and I've said what I know you've said just in terms of social media, right? Like these are really the frontline people. And part of that is, again, good feedback, but also knowing what amount of detail, given how fast it's moving, and what are the appropriate check-in points for the full board as opposed to just the board chair or vice chair. And as I said, I'm more than happy to take suggestions and feedback on that so we can make sure you all are adequately looped in.
If I could add, I just want to add that, we're all saying that this is a situation that is unlike anything that we've experienced. In many ways, things are happening so close to when we may have to actually come together and talk. I want to assure the board members that there's not an attempt not to get information out. Sometimes we don't have the information until the very, it's very fluid. So one of the reasons, for example, that I asked Dr. Santelises to give some information around what it meant for the break and those kind of things was that was very new information. So in some cases, it will be difficult to continuously be up on top of everything. But if you do have questions, please contact our office. We will get the answers as quickly as we can and get them out to everyone. But I want to commend our CEO and all of the staff because they have really not been still since this whole thing has started and continuously making adjustments and for the benefit of our students and their families.
This is Commissioner Chenya. This is Bandima. And I was listening to what Dr. Santelice was saying, and I appreciate everything and all the work. And between what the governor and Dr. Salmon and Dr. Santelice and Allison and the whole staff are doing, I think is outstanding. The one thing that I would appreciate, and I think Dr. Brooks said, is Robert said, is if we could each not a daily, but as often as possible, just not anything formal, to the board members to let us know what's going on, because in addition to the questions that the staff is receiving, we're receiving as many. And we want to make sure that the information that we might mention is correct and on task and right on button. We don't want to make sure we're giving wrong information. So just a daily or every other day list of things that's happening before we hear it, really before we hear it on the news, would be really nice. So, but other than that, I think that what we're doing is wonderful. I'm listening to it, and I'm hearing all the good things that's going on in Baltimore City and around the state of Maryland. But I want to say thank you for all the work, because some of us are in the house and we're not leaving the home. Some of us are high risk, and so we want to make sure that that if it's necessary, we can make calls or we can do something to assist you in all of the hard work that you're doing.
No, and thank you all. I do appreciate it, and we will definitely work. I will connect with Commissioner Board Chair Chenya and make sure that, if it's every other day or whenever, we can certainly work to put that together to facilitate the communication.
Could I also suggest that, because I don't know if we're all on the robocall, because I've been getting daily, and maybe it's because of the school situation, but I've been getting daily robocalls from the system.
Maybe you're getting it because you have kids in school. I don't get that.
That's why I'm saying this. If it's possible to be certain that all the board members are on that, a part of that, because it has been it has been information that has been up-to-date information, and sometimes on a every other day or daily basis. So if we could be certain that board members are on that, or numbers are listed there, that would be helpful.
Great, we can do that.
I heard someone else.
Yeah, this is Martha. Would it also be possible to have Christian, who's there on the floor, be more involved so that he could provide us with a daily update, so that's not another task for staff? And sit in on some of those meetings, not as a idea contributor or as a question answerer, but somebody to help convey information?
Sure. I mean, we can let me, in that sense, it would be great, because it would be one less kind of update, our team would have to write up. And so let me just talk to the staff to see kind of which meetings make sense for, Christian to listen in. The nice part is, given so much is going to be remote, very, very shortly, a lot is already. It's easier to pipe, it's not that, it doesn't take very much to pipe an additional person in. But let me get back with staff and see which meetings make sense. And then, yes, actually that might be easier. If Christian could take that list, that would be great.
Thank you.
If there are no other, nothing else, I just want to remind folks that yes?
Oh, Commissioner Chan, I know Dr. Santelice has some additional remarks she wanted to make.
Bags of food for families to be able to take home. Principals who left, frankly, their own children to come take care of the city's children, and custodians who are cleaning once, twice, 3 times in some cases if they're at a feeding site. And I really just want to say a big thank you to the city and to the whole city schools team, no matter what your role. We had staff who copiers weren't working at schools, and so they stayed late to make sure that there were enough packets across the city for kids and families. And it really is heartening. I want to say to the young people, of Baltimore City, because I know there's a lot of participants on right now beyond just us, that, Commissioner Reed's reference to how you are feeling is incredibly important. I have not heard from any teacher that has not said that they miss their kids and that this time is hard for them as well, and that we are going to do the work that we need to. And I want to thank the public for your feedback. You're helping us get better, and we will continue to get better. And I just think that that's what we're going to need to weather this. But I am incredibly hopeful, even knowing that there's a giant specter of the unknown. But just want to encourage people to keep reaching out. And I want to thank the board, because even without all of the detail, many of you have reached out in ways that the public doesn't always see. And I want you to know that I appreciate your support as well. So that's all I have to say, and I will turn it back to the board chair.
Thank you. And I think I'd like to just to echo your thanks, especially to the community, and also not only for the giving, but also for the patience that people have shown. And please continue to do that. And we hope everyone, as you're doing that, also remains safe and sound, so that hopefully we can get back into our buildings with our children to continue the normal schooling that we all do love. I do want to let people know that our previously scheduled board meeting for March the 24th has been canceled, and that we will have another special board meeting on the 31st of March at 5 p.m. It will be held remotely, so all the things that we've learned from this meeting, we will try to make sure we have everything correct and better for next time. But please be on the look for the information about calling in. Unless there is something else that we need to discuss this evening, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Bundema.
Is there a second?
Second. McFadden.
Thank you. Is anyone not in favor of that motion? If not, I'm going to assume we all are. Thank you all. And this meeting is adjourned. I'm going to tell you, please be careful. We'll be in touch with you. And to the public who is with us, thank you for joining. And the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.